Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Troll.
(1973 to 1976). Welcome back, baseball fans. The 1973-76 Carryover League. We got another series in the National League North, best of 7 series between the Reds and the Cardinals. And this is the Reds won the division last year, of course. Cardinals had the worst record in the National League a year ago, got the first pick in the draft, and had a nice season. But it is the Reds. We'll show you what's taking place. We'll get right to this. Game 1 in St. Louis. It's Jack Billingham versus Bob Gibson. Tight affair. An RBI single by Tony Perez in the first inning. An RBI triple by Bate McBride. A 1-1 tie. An RBI single by Pete Rose. It's 2-1. Then you have an RBI double by Geronimo, 3-1. RBI double by Brock, 3-2. It's 4-2. RBI triple Geronimo. We get a sac fly by Reggie Smith. It's 4-3. And in the 9th inning, Billingham is pulled after 1 out. And to get the final 2 outs, they bring in Baylor Moore, a free agent acquisition, a lefty with a lot of strikeouts, not many hits, but a lot of walks. So it's always good to bring him in if you're the Reds when there's no one on base. He did walk a batter. Then he got a double play. And they'll take that. And that's a 4-3 victory. And that's where the Cardinals are like, man, we really got a chance to beat the Reds, you know? But they didn't. Let's take a look at game number 2. Game 2, it's Don Gullett versus Bob Forsch. And in this one, both starters aren't particularly sharp at all. The Reds, Griffey's RBI single there. You get a Foster RBI single there and a Pete Rose RBI single. But it's worse for Gullett as he gives up a single walk, single in the first for a couple runs. And then in the 4th inning, you get a double single strikeout. And then here we go, an error by Joe Morgan. Write that down. And then, of course, what do you get? A Reggie Smith 3-run homer. Huh. Interesting. 6-3 game. Reds do what Reds do. They get some hits together here. Double, single, walk. A 2-run double by Dennis Mankey. The Reds tie it in the 6th on a Ken Griffey solo shot. But check out the 8th inning now. Leadoff batter reaches on a Concepcion error. A botched hit and run. He's thrown out. So that worked. But then Sizemore triples. They bring the infield up. Ground ball to Tony Perez. He makes an error, and they get that run anyway. It's 7-6. Al Hrabowski gets the save. And the Reds are kind of ticked. They just let the Cardinals get a win on errors by Morgan, Concepcion, and Tony Perez in this game. What the heck's going on here, Cincinnati? Why are you playing so sloppy? We know you can destroy these guys. Don't believe me? Let's see what happens when we go to Cincinnati. If you don't think the Reds could really destroy the Cardinals. Game 3, the Reds beat the Cardinals 18-2. Let's see. Johnny Bench is 4 for 5. He had a double, a homer, and a walk. 3 homers and 5 RBIs. Tony Perez only had 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. And they beat the living tar out of the Cardinals 18-2. Let's move on. I ain't going to give you the pictures or anything on that one. Let's just keep going. Game 4, Reds 10-2. Oh, I got to add something to this. The Reds were leading 10-0 in this game. Even better, Gary Nolan was the Reds starting pitcher. 6 innings, he gave up nothing but 4 walks and 2 Ks and was pulled with a 10-0 lead, throwing a no-hitter. A hitless 7th by Fred Norman, a hitless 8th by Pedro Borbon, and then the clown show Clay Carroll in the 9th inning gives up 3 hits, 2 runs, a walk, and a K, so the final is 10-2, and there goes your no-hitter by a combination of pitchers. But the Reds destroy the Cardinals, beating them 28-3. The Bengals over the... St. Louis doesn't have a football team, do they? Arizona Cardinals. I don't know. Anyway, 10-2, up 3 games to 1. Could have been a sweep had they played cleaner baseball in Game 2. Let's show you what's happened in Game number 5. In Game 5, folks, here we go again. So the Cardinals, they get a home run out of Mike Phillips, a homer out of Mike Adams, a free agent, RBI single by Kenny Reitz, and it's an early Cardinal lead off of Bob Forsch. But the Reds do what the Reds do. Single, single, double, single. It's a 3-2 game. Morgan singles in the 7th, and Pete Rose is into a double play. That might be the first one that I can recall him hitting into with Morgan on, nobody out. Doesn't matter, because then they get an error on Mike Tyson, a single by Johnny Bench, and a home run by Tony Perez, and you're like, here we go again. The Reds, as long as they don't make dumb mistakes, they're going to beat you. It's 5-3 in the 9th. Billingham is pulled, and we bring in, you remember Clown Show Clay Carroll, right? So Clown Show Clay Carroll comes on in the 9th to get 3 outs and get a 4-1 series victory to give the Reds one of the best records in the National League. Carroll gives up a single, a walk, a single, a 3-run homer to Reggie Smith, and for added measure, a solo homer to Mike Tyson, and a 5-3 win turns into an 8-5 defeat. Reds could have won all 5 games. Just don't employ Clay Carroll, who's terrible. I don't know how Sparky Anderson loved his bullpen so much. Let's take a look at stats. The Reds are now 14-8, tied with the Pirates for the lead. It's all great and wonderful. They're hitting .294. Their ERA is .360. Jack Billingham and Don Gullett, they're 9-0. Okay? Throw in Pat Zachary, they're 11-0. Throw in Gary Nolan, they're 13-3. The clown shows of Clay Carroll, Pedro Bourbon, and Baylor Moore are 1-5. Clay Carroll, let's see. He's got an ERA of 12.58. Yeah, and he's the closer. Let's see. Bourbon's ERA is around 6. Baylor Moore is decent, around 3. And the best guy here is Fred Norman. He is not giving up an earned run in 11 innings. Meanwhile, Johnny Bench has 7 homers and 21 RBIs. He's chasing Hank Aaron for the MVP in the National League. What else is new? And the Reds find themselves scratching their heads, realizing they have lost home field advantage in this particular series against the Cardinals, because games 6 and 7 are in St. Louis. Could the Cardinals actually win this series? Moreover, the Reds lost a series this year when they fell asleep in Las Vegas. They lost the best of 5 to the Las Vegas expansion team. Could they actually lose 2 of 5 series this year, even though they're in first place? I mean, the Reds, they just don't really care about the regular season too much, except when they put up an 18-burger on you. When they score 18 or 20 runs, then they care. But maybe just is the new thing going to have to be the opposite of Sparky Anderson and like all complete games, instead of having these terrible relief pitchers ruin their season? Game 6 from St. Louis. The Reds will send Don Gullett out there. 17-game winner in 74 with a 3.04 ERA, 243 innings. And the Cardinals will send their man Bob Gibson out there. He pitched very well in Game 1. He can't pitch on 3 days rest anymore. The 2.77 ERA in 1973, so this is why it's taken him so long for his second start in the series. They like their chances here. Gullett, Gibson, Game 6 from St. Louis. Let's get started. Leading off for the Reds, it's Joe Morgan. 58, flies to right. Pete Rose, 310, that's a single. Ken Griffey is base at the left field. Rose, will you go coast to coast with 116 against the Harper arm? Yep, 19 will do it. They're on the corners. They're holding Griffey. They're keeping it back. It's Johnny Bench, 311. Right B question mark. We're going to run Rose, of course. 16, 17, 18, 19, 1-20, and it's a sac fly. Runner at first, 2 outs. You want to try a stolen base on the +1 arm of Simmons? Yeah, let's do that. Oh, it's close. 15, 16. But they're holding him. And he is caught stealing. Well, they get a run. Yeah. That's the end of the inning. And we go to the bottom of the first. It'll be Mike Adams leading off for the Cardinals. 1-3, grounds are short. Tommy Harper, 44, short X. Concepcion has made 3 errors in this series. He's made 4 errors in this series. Now, believe it or not, Lou Brock has stolen a couple bases. He's not playing today against the lefty. And you got the -4 arm catcher. It is 1-0 though. Let's try a stolen base. He steals on a 9. Reggie Smith, 37 is a walk. First and second for Jim Hart. 39 is a double play. We go to the second inning. You know, it's not necessarily what the Cardinals need to do to win. It's what the Reds need to do to lose that helps the Cardinals thus far. So it's really hard to say, should you steal? Should you not steal? Pitching change, yada, yada, yada. Either bad bullpen work or errors. Tony Perez leads off in the second. 1-5 is a K. George Foster, 1-4, flies to left. Geronimo, 42, flies to right. Bottom of the second, it's Ted Simmons, 2-8, grounds the third. Joe Torre, 2-3, rolls the third. And Mike Tyson, 57 Ks. Don Gull did not pitch very well last time out, pitching better today. I don't know if that means the Cardinals are good against lefties. I just think they had a day that went very well against Gullett. I think the Cardinals are better against righties because you have Lou Brock, Bate McBride not in the current lineup. And I think the Cardinals would be better if those guys were playing. Top of the third, Dennis Mankey, 43, first X. 2E15, Torrey, nice glove for Joe. He's a 2, makes the play. I think the Cardinals are waiting to see when and if the Reds bring Pedro Bourboin and Clay Carroll into the game, and then, of course, that's when they'll make their move. Dave Concepcion, 1-5, base hit. Joe Morgan, 3-6 is a walk. 2 on, 1 out for Pete Rose, 69 off Gibson center. And with 2 outs, it's Griffey. 4-10 off Gibson's a pop to short. Bob Gibson gets out of it, just 1 zip. Ted Sizemore, 4-11. Right X. Right field, Foster's a 2E4. And that's a single off the good defense. Here we go again. These errors and mistakes the Reds are making, they're doing them with very above average defensive players. And they're goofing it up. Morgan's a 1, Concepcion's a 2, even Foster's a 2. Ken Reitz. 56 is a K. Back up top to Mike Adams. 1-6 is a K, and with 2 outs. Tommy Harper, 4-4, short X. Concepcion, here we go again. He makes the play. You know, the Cardinals have outperformed the Pirates. The Reds beat the Pirates 4 out of 5. And the Cardinals are into a game number 6. That could come back into tie-breaking later down the road. Top of the fourth, Johnny Bench. 1-6 is a base hit. Tony Perez, 4-11. Left X. Oh boy. 3-4 Tommy Harper. And he makes the grab. George Foster. 67's a strikeout. And Geronimo, 68. Pops to second. Bob Gibson, very effective against the Reds in 2 starts now. Bottom of the fourth. Reggie Smith, 55 off Gullett, second X. It's Morgan, a 1E13. Jim Hart, 48, a fly ball to center. And Ted Simmons, 65, homer 1 double, 2 base hit. Runner in scoring position for Joe Torre, 33 rolls to short. We're in the 5th now. We'll show you cards when something impactful happens. Dennis Mankey, 2-3, rounds the third. Concepcion, 66, single on a 1, line out. The Reds have rolled 6-6 against Gibson about 4 or 5 times in the 2 starts. Single 1, line out the rest. He also has homer 1, fly ball the rest on 5-4. A great Bob Gibson card. 2 outs. Joe Morgan, 6-10, third X. It's Reitz, he's a 1. A 1E23 third baseman makes the play. It's only 1 zip. Cardinals right in this thing. They don't think they're out of it. They still have playoff dreams in their head. A worst to first scenario, or at least a worst to 500, and then a worst to the playoff scenario. Bottom of the 5th, 1-0 Reds. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
You know, the reality, folks, is that I originally was not going to broadcast this series because I didn't think it was going to be competitive. But once the Cardinals won that second game, I turned all the equipment on, and you get this broadcast because of it. And Bob Gibson was pitching, so I always want to get the Hall of Famers involved if I can. 1-0 in the bottom of the 5th. It'll be Mike Tyson. 37 is a base hit. Ted Sizemore, 64 off of Gullett's a homer if you have power. He doesn't. It's a base hit. Runners in the corners. No one out for Ken Reeds, who doesn't have power. I'd bring the infield up if I saw a lot of ground ball A's on the card. I don't. I mean, ground ball B's. So I want to play back for a double play. 312, and sure enough, it's a ground ball B, and it is the only ground ball B on his card had I brought the infield up. But there you go. Huge break for the Cardinals. Fielder's choice, 1-1 tie, runner at first. Back up top to Mike Adams. 58 off Gullett is a K. And Tommy Harper, 4-5, second C. 1-1 into the 6th. It'll be Pete Rose. 54, homer chance. He doesn't have power. 1-13, it's a single. Rose had power in like 69, 70, and then by 73, he was down to just 5 homers. Bunch of doubles. He's at first. Ken Griffey. 2-4 flies to center. Johnny Bench. 3-9 is a K. And with 2 outs, Tony Perez, 67 is a K. Bottom of the 6th, a 1-1 affair. Reggie Smith. 57 is a K. Jim Hart, 59, short X, Concepcion, having a really shaky year, and he makes the play. 2E21, he's outstanding. He's excellent. He's not a 1 like Harrelson and Belanger and Boa, but he will be soon. Shouldn't be hurting the Reds this much. Cost them a game. Ted Simmons, 69, is a walk. Joe Torre, 410, third X. Mankey's a 2E15. He's also made an error in this series. Makes the play. Every Red infielder has made at least 1 error in this series. You have an E13 at first, E13 at second, E15 at third, E21 at short. They've all made errors. 1-1 into the top of the 7th inning. Briskly moving affair. We can thank Cincinnati for that. They normally bat around many times and slow things down, but not today. It'll be George Foster. 53. Flies it into right field. Oh boy. Mike Adams is out there. He's on because he's an on-base machine, but not much defense. It's a 47. But he makes the grab. Nice play. It's Geronimo. 38 is a strikeout. And with 2 outs, it's Dennis Mankey. 58 is a strikeout. Bob Gibson a run in the first on a sac fly, and that is all. Stretch time here in St. Louis. We are enjoying this, the Warner Reprise recordings of the meters. Getting funkier all the time. 68 to 77. Sophisticated Sissy. Sissy Struts on here. I believe Wichita Lineman's on here too somewhere. Yeah, let's throw this one down. That's a good one. Yeah, the old Wichita Lineman. Glenn Campbell and the company. But here's the funky version, you know. The funky break version, I guess. In the bottom of the 7th, against Don Gullett, it'll be Mike Tyson leading off. 37's a base hit. Sizemore. He did a hit and run attempt that failed previously. I think they'll take their shot with swinging away here. 54 off Gullett, center X. Geronimo's a 1E6. Dare he make an error? No. Kenny Reitz. 66 off Gullett is a double 1-3 base hit. They have runners on the corners for Mike Adams. Let's take a look at this guy. Mike Adams, a free agent from 73, Minnesota Twin. 17 walks and 66 at-bats makes him an ideal pinch hit candidate. Frankly, he was on the bench, but then as soon as they put him in the lineup, he can't get out. He's got like a 400 or 500 on-base percentage. And the Cardinals, he gets on 2 or 3 times a game, it seems, and they've left him in there at the opportunities for Brock and Harper and Jim Hart at DH corner outfield. But big moment here. Runners on the corners. Gullett's near the point of weakness. Again, you go to a righty, you're inviting trouble with Brock and Phillips. And McBride from the right with a righty. So I think in a 1-1 affair, Gullett is going to have to battle this. Infield up and pitch to Mike Adams. Here's the pitch. 47's a strikeout. And with 2 outs, now let's take a look at Tommy Harper. He was acquired from Boston in the offseason. They shipped Boston the slugging Bill Sadakis card, who crushes lefties and will be doing that in Fenway. Boston had no more need for a base-stealing threat, as they seldom needed him to do that. His last great year in baseball, I believe, for Tommy is 73. 17 home runs, 61 walks, and a 281 average. Now in St. Louis, teaming up with Lou Brock. Combined in a full 162-game season, these dudes would steal about 170 bases. Big moment, Tommy Harper, 2 on, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. 48 off Gullett is a fly ball to center field. And the Wichita linemen, unfortunately, do not make the Cardinals' fortune any better. We'll bring the rally music down back into the 8th inning. Cardinals might be kicking themselves because they have sent about 4 more extra batters to the plate in this game than the Reds. Yet it's just 1-1 in the 8th. Gibson, starter 8, he certainly will continue. And it'll be Dave Concepcion. 55 off of Gibson is double 1-12. It's a base hit. Now, he's an ace stealer. They like to take off against Simmons. They don't have a backup catcher, if you're wondering, the Cardinals. They have really bad arms all over the place. I've never seen. Reggie Smith has got a -4 arm. Everybody else in the outfield, +3, +2, +1, +1. And, of course, the catcher with a +1 arm. Concepcion isn't going anywhere because you got Joe Morgan and Pete Rose. Here's the pitch to Joe Morgan. 37, there's a shocker, ball 4. 2-1, nobody out. Let's take a look now at 1973 MVP Pete Rose. 338. And what's really great about this card is he crushes the righties, and I like it this way. I like to see the card look like this and just be kind of ordinary against lefties. That's what you want when you're hitting 338 out of a card. Too often it's the other way around, but you face a lot more righties at 67% for Pete. First and second, there's a mound visit, but Gibson's not going anywhere. Pete Rose versus Bob Gibson in the 8th inning. Here's the pitch. 56, and there it is, folks. Double 1-9. It is a Pete Rose double, and the Reds take a 2-1 lead. Must have been a ground roll double. Morgan stuck at third base. Second and third, moreover, Gibson's hit the point of weakness. That is disappointing here. He will have to come out of the game with a lefty Griffey and then bench and Perez. It's a tough break for Bob. 7 innings and 3 batters. It's now 2-1. And the Cardinals, they used Al Grabowski for a couple innings yesterday. He did get that win, but they're going to go with Chuck Taylor in the 8th. Chuck Taylor was a Cardinal and an Expo in 74 with the Expos. He was 6-2 with a 2.17 ERA in 108 innings. Chuck Taylor here in the 8th. Second and third. And they'll bring the infield up for Ken Griffey. He has a lot of ground ball Bs on his card. Here's the pitch to Ken Griffey. 1-9. That's a base hit to center field. Rose. -4 on Reggie Smith. He's in center today with McBride on the bench, so he pumps the brakes at third. Runners in the corners in the 3-1 game. Ideally, you'd like to play it back with the 3 righties for Chuck Taylor, who's better against righties. But a double play means it turns into a 4-1 game. So they're going to bring the infield up with runners in the corners and nobody out for Johnny Bench. 2-9. Let's take a look at the Johnny Bench card. The Reds have had enough of this. They have had enough of the St. Louis Cardinals. And this is what we've been seeing when they get their ire up. They just start a bat-around inning off of whoever you throw out there. Another Johnny Bench homer. He had 3 or 4 of them the other day. And, one of the 28 dingers of 1975 with a .283 average. -4 on catcher still. 3-run bomb here in the 8th. 5 batters, 5 runs. It happens that quickly like lightning. The Reds take a 6-1 lead. Tony Perez, 2-7, double 1-3 base hit. Buckle up, folks. This could get bumpy. George Foster, 69 center. Geronimo, 39 center. And they bat around with Dennis Menke, 1-9 walks. They'll continue with Dave Concepcion, 2 on, 2 outs, 3-11, another walk. Back up to Joe Morgan. Just sit with the misery. 110's a single. They're going to go station to station. It's 7-1. Pete Rose, 59, rolls to second base, and it's only a 6-run inning. It's 7-1. Bottom of the 8th. You need 2 base runners to break Gullett, so it'll be Reggie Smith. 1-8, K's. Jim Hart, 1-4, third. And Ted Simmons, 36, 1-13 for a base hit. Joe Torre, 36 for a walk, and that breaks Gullett. It's 7-1. Oh boy. I think I'm going to follow up with another lefty. Absolutely. The Reds have seen enough, at least for this series. They may give Carroll a reset next time around. But Gullett leaves after 7 2/3. And it's going to be Fred Norman asked to get the final 4 outs just because he's been the best reliever this year for them. Fred was actually a starter relief, starter 7, relief 3, but 186 innings in 74. There's no room in the rotation with Billingham, Gullett, Gary Nolan, Pat Zachary. So Norman has to go into the bullpen. Originally, the mop-up man, he might turn out to be the closer. First and second, 2 outs. Fred Norman, Mike Tyson, moreover, keeps Lou Brock and Big McBride on the bench. Here's the pitch. 2-4, a grounder to short. We go to the 9th. We may as well just let this Chuck Taylor guy finish. Oh, let's go Frank Lindsay here. Change our mind. We'll go Frank Lindsay in the 9th. As we're down, just getting the bullpen some work. Frank Lindsay was a Cardinal at one point, but he was with the Brewers in 73, 2-6 with a 3.57 ERA in 63 innings. He comes on in the 9th to face Ken Griffey. 69's a base hit. Johnny Bench, 4-10, center X. Reggie Smith is a 3.8 in center field, makes the grab. Perez, 2-9, there's another single. 2 on, 1 out for Foster. 2-7's a K. Geronimo, 4-9, pop out to second. Bottom of the 9th, Fred Norman needs 3 outs. It's Ted Sizemore, 64, short X, Concepcion, a 2E21. Makes the play. Kenny Reitz, 1-4, lines are short. And Mike Adams, 4-6, single 1-10, base hit. Tommy Harper, 2-12, a strikeout. Finally, this game is over. And the Reds got their ire up off of Bob Gibson, unfortunately, in the 8th inning. And they win 7-1. We'll take this right to the post game. Yeah, they're in first place. They're still a little ticked off, though, that it took them 6 games. We'll take it right through this box. Frank Lindsay gave up 2 hits and a K in the 9th inning. Chuck Taylor came on and faced Griffey and company, and that didn't end very well. He did all this crap. Oh boy. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits, 3 runs, and 2 walks. Which means Gibson's responsible for the rest and a loss. 7 hits and 4 runs. The 3 batters he put on in the 8th. Inherited runners all score, so they're all earned, all 4. 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Fred Norman, he gave up a walk, a hit and a K. A hit and a walk and a K for Fred Norman. And still has not given up an earned run this year. Gullett does get the win. Gave up 7 hits, that 1 run. Cardinals had they had men on base throughout this game, but they were holding off the tsunami for as long as they could. Got to give the Cardinals credit for that. 1009-0109, 713-18, 713-18, 473-83847. Well, I think it's just going to come down to an ineffective Reds bullpen when they go against the top teams in the National League. Could cost them. We'll just put that out there now. Might as well, right? Well, could you have any faith in Clay Carroll closing out games after what he's done? The disparity in win-loss record from your rotation versus your bullpen? The opposite of Sparky Anderson approach? Sparky's approach would be to go to the bullpen. You can't. It's terrible. They stink. Cardinals in losing 4 out of 6 are still 12-11. That's really good for a team that's a little overmatched in this timeline. However, they're doing much better than the Cubs, and they still have an outside chance at that last wild card spot. 12-11, they're hitting .276 with a 4.27 ERA. You got to remember they got blasted 3 times in this series by the Reds, so they were respectively pitching earlier. John Curtis 4-1. Not a lot of power. You do have Reggie Smith carrying the team with 4 homers and 16 RBI. 12-11. But the Reds now 15-8. We can do a sort of this division. And yes, Gullett, that is 6 wins. 6-0. And 1 complete game. Unreal. That means they're 10-11. They're 12-0. And throwing Gary Nolan, they're 14-3. And you throw in Fred Norman, that would lower that ERA as well. Fred Norman is no won or loss record. Just 12 1/3. Scoreless innings with an unearned run in there. Joe Morgan, let's check out the big guns here. Let's check out Morgan and Rose. So Morgan's got 9 steals, 19 walks, 24 for 93 is okay. Scored 22 times though. Pete Rose, he's 29 for 93. They're just kind of coasting. They don't, I mean, it's not like these guys really need to hit 338 and 327 to get what needs to be done to happen. You can see what this lineup can do. Reaching double digits twice, should have been 3 times. Could have been 3 times. We can do a sort of the standings in this division, and I think that means the National League is all through 5 rounds. So we know a lot more about the National League presently. And there really are 5 teams playing outstanding baseball, and that sets up a great tournament coming down the pipe later. There are the Reds, half game ahead of the Pirates, 15-8. Pirates 13-7. And there are your Cardinals, game over. You got the Braves, 3 over. And the rest of the National League has been getting beat up. We have a losing team going to win this division. Padres, Astros, just getting knocked, So, yeah. Pretty clear what 5 teams are going to be in the playoffs. Just a battle between the Braves, Cardinals, and maybe another outlier to see who gets that final playoff spot. Pretty early to see that, by the way. We're not even at the All-Star break. Meanwhile, in the American League, you can't figure anything out here. We have one 13-win team, and then you have 12, 11, 11, 10, 11, 12, 11, 10. Yeah, it's 8, 9, 10 teams all swirling around each other in mediocrity. Must do it, folks. Break up the Cincinnati Reds. They got ticked off, and they beat up on the Cardinals 4-2. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.